this video is something that I've been excited about doing for a while because a lot of you are always asking, and I don't know why I haven't done this yet. Probably because I just recently was like, oh, maybe I don't have to do cosplay for every single video. So, and this one's gonna be a comfy, cozy video. I got my blanket on. I'm not wearing any like makeup or anything because I ran out of spoons for the day. So I'm just you and me chilling out, having a good time. So just gonna kind of hop right into it. You can use this video for sleep, or you can actually, learn something from it if you're interested in this sort of stuff. This video is for kind of like currently practicing like witchcraft people, or people who are new to it. I also use the term witchcraft because it's like a popular term right now, and I'm trying to get them views, not because it's how I really identify. I mean, it kind of is, but it's also like I'm not like a Wiccan, you know what I mean? Like I don't practice like that sort of witchcraft. I do something that's called Universalism. That's the practice that I fall under. It's a pagan belief, meaning it's not like an organized religion necessarily. It's kind of more just about like how you feel. I'm a psychic reader. I do psychic readings on my website. It's something that I kind of been wanting to do more of. I've done a couple things on the channel for it, mostly live streams, but I haven't really done any like actually like breaking down what it is I do and talking about like the guides I work with and how I do my readings and stuff that can help you at home, if you're interested in this sort of stuff, things like that. So yeah. Anyways, I'll talk a little bit about Universalism. Universalism is the belief, basically, that every religion, like little bits and pieces of every religion, is the truth of the universe. Like, there's no one religion that was right all along. It's like all the deities and entities that, exist in the universe, like, have their, like, pantheons and stuff, and they have their like thing that they do in the universe, their cosmological job, as it were, and they all exist. So it doesn't necessarily mean that like one god is like superior to other gods. It just kind of means that they're all existing, doing their own separate thing, working together to make this beautiful world that we live in. And this beautiful hellscape that we live in, I should say. It's pretty rough out here. But if it wasn't, how would we learn anything? So, this is also to say that in Universalism, because it is a very personal religion, I don't want to say the word religion because there's so much stigma that comes with that word. So I'm going to say practice. In Universalism, you have a very personal relationship with your guides and whoever you choose to work with, whoever you feel like a calling to work with. So it also kind of talks about Universalism as kind of like the gods in different like pantheons and different religions. Sometimes they can be different than how they necessarily like appear in history or in culture. Like it's a very personal relationship you have with your guides. Like your guides might not always communicate with you in like the textbook way that like this Wikipedia page says that they'll communicate with you. Like if you're working with somebody who's normally associated with spiders, it might not be like spiders that walk into your house and that's how they communicate with you. You know what I mean? It's more like whatever you associate with that guide is how they'll communicate with you. I'll get more into specific guide stuff later. I just kind of wanted to throw that out there, essentially, that if something doesn't line up with exactly how it says it's supposed to be or whatever in like history or like official documentation about this particular guide, like sometimes they're bigger than what humans have given them, have associated with them in the past. And because it's a personal relationship you have with your guides, it can be like different for everyone. So yeah, there are usually like through lines though, like a lot of stuff in history is based on something. I'm not saying that like you can just throw everything that is written about guides and stuff and gods out the window because they're useless. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that, you know, for example, like somebody like Satan or something might not actually be evil. That's essentially what I'm getting at, is that maybe Satan is not the devil. You know what I'm saying? That sort of thing. So don't want to get anybody all upsetty spaghetti, but that's basically how it is in universalism. Universalism doesn't really believe in the concepts of good and evil. They believe as being like separate entities. Like you can still do evil things, you can still do good things, but evil stems more from ignorance and from, you know, like being in the middle of your own trauma and like learning stuff in like a really toxic environment and just like not, you know, basically functioning in a way that is dysfunctional. That would be what most religions and stuff consider to be evil, when nobody really does anything evil for evil's sake. You know what I mean? Unless they have some sort of like, no one does that. Like everybody always has a reason for doing something, even if it seems like they don't. They do, and it's not necessarily that they're just an evil person. Maybe they want to be perceived that way for some reason, to deal with some sort of trauma that they have, or that's something that they're dealing with in their personal life, in their life path. But evil and good don't exist as separate entities. They're more complicated than that. It's not that simple. You know what I mean? So that's all to say, universalism kind of aligns itself more with choice, free will, being misguided, ignorance, that sort of thing has more to do with malicious behavior than an innate devotion to evil for evil's sake, because nobody works like that. Nobody's just born evil and does evil forever. There's always a reason for it. And also, like, if the universe functioned, if there was like a such thing as an evil universe, it literally wouldn't work, because you need like collaboration in order to keep stuff running. Like, eventually it might work for a little while, but ultimately, if goals are not in the right place and it's not, you know, a cyclical like pattern, and it's just all for one rather than one for all, if it's a straight line instead of a circle, that doesn't work. You know what I mean? That's why things are the way they are. Anyways, sorry to get like super deep with you, but we're talking about, you know, a practice of universalism, like a way of thinking, a mentality about the universe. So it's gonna get a little deep. So sorry about that. But this is all to say, everything's good. It's all Gucci. Everything's gonna be fine. I also would like to say, if you believe in one God, that is also true according to universalism. There's a source that everything comes from in this universe, basically, that is its own like consciousness and entity, and that would be God. So there's like God, and then there's gods that are all part of the bigger source, and then there's us that are like mortals, I guess, that are kind of little parts of those gods. You know what I mean? So it's like we're all part of one big whole, but we're all smaller parts of that big whole. So whole, W-H, not whole. Like H-O-L-E, you get it. So I did want to touch a little bit on soul guides too. So soul guides are basically the beings whose job it is to guide mortals through their incarnations. They basically are kind of like your guardian angels. They help literally guide you on your life and watch over you and keep your energy safe and that sort of thing. They help you, like, before you incarnate into your life, they help you determine the life lessons you're going to learn and help you identify like the purpose of your incarnation. And they look after you and they love you. So yeah, and a lot of them, there are some like guides that are your like source guides, meaning like your soul like came from their energy. It's really fascinating. I'll touch a little bit on that too. But I also do want to touch on Universalism does believe in reincarnation. Basically, essentially reincarnation, it's not like, oh, you're a human in this life and next life you'll be a cockroach. It's not like that. It always like makes sense and it serves a purpose, and your soul chooses to do it. The other thing about Universalism is it's really big on the concept of free will. You can do whatever you want because you're your own independent entity. But, we'll see how well that works for you. Fuck around, find out, that sort of thing. So, yes, nobody can force you to incarnate. So whenever people are like, God, who made me do this? Why am I doing this? You chose to be here, Sometimes it can feel like, you worry that you made a mistake, but, your guides are here. It's really tough to exist in this universe. This is a hard one. So, don't sell yourself short and think, oh man, I should be doing better. I should be blah, blah, blah. The word should, the idea of should is a made up human thing. And you're just doing the best you can. And you're doing what you want to be doing. It's just a matter of getting there that is the hard part. And if it wasn't hard, if it was easy, it wouldn't be worth it. You've probably lived plenty of lifetimes where it was easy and you learned the basics. But this universe is not basic. Humanity is not basic. Humanity is rough. So, like I was saying before about soul guides, so the soul sources that are basically the entities that your soul comes from, most people have two, but you can have more. So your soul sources are essentially they can be deities, angels, or daemons, they're all essentially types of deities. Like I said before, daemons are not evil. I say daemons and not demons because the word demon has a lot of like negative connotations. But daemons are just like, they're like kind of like soul therapists almost. Their emphasis is on the human condition and teaching you lessons that help you grow. We can talk more about that another time too, but that's essentially the tea on daemons. It's all good. Yeah, they're kind of like I said, soul therapists. They're really into psychology, human condition, stuff like that. This is oversimplifying it, but you get it. I kind of have to. So, the other kind of spirit guides you can have are elementals, which are like kind of like fae creatures. I'll probably make another video on them because they're usually younger souls, younger than deities, is what I mean. And you can also have past life spirits, like people from your past lives who love you and who didn't want to incarnate this time but wanted to help you in your incarnation and stick with you for this life. Like, for example, I have a wife from a past life who is currently on my team of guides. Her name is Sonia, and she is really amazing, and she helps me keep my shit together. So she's kind of like, everybody's relationship is different. I'm just talking a little bit about my personal one. She's kind of like my voice of reason, almost. She's like kind of the responsible, like, self-caretaker voice that's kind of in the back of my head, like, hey, your alarm went off, you should get up for work, you can do this, sweetie, like, just get up, it's not going to be as bad as you think it is, that sort of thing. And when I really don't feel like cooking dinner, she's like, well, just put the salt on it like this, cook it this way, you got it. It's that sort of thing. It's very like domestic and very sweet in my particular instance. But it's great. Guides are awesome. I also plan to in the future kind of help you guys figure out how to talk to your guides and listen to them and stuff, because I feel like it's just so helpful. Like, I'll probably talk a little bit more about too how I got into this whole practice, because basically when I was transitioning, my gender transition, I was really lost, and my family had essentially disowned me. They'll say they didn't, but they did. They cut me off fully, and they were like, don't speak to us until you change your mind. And, you know, I was like fresh out of college. So, and the pandemic was happening, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. So it was really tough financially and emotionally. I also had a friend group dump me at the same time, claiming I was toxic, that whole thing. But anyway, so it was like I was basically on my own. Thank God for my partner at the time, or I don't know if I would have made it here, honestly. But, you know, things worked out the way they needed to, because if I hadn't stepped up to my parents, and, you know, my friend group, it would have been, I wouldn't have been happy ever. So now I can say I'm happy. Like, things are hard, but I'm happy. You know what I mean? So when that was going on, I met a shamanic practitioner who kind of turned me on to Universalism and changed my life forever. It wasn't just my partner who got me through it. It was me being able to find the inner strength by working with my guides that literally got me through everything. And I still, you know, obviously work with my guides every day. It's just part of my life now. And I am so much more functioning, oh my God, than I've ever been. So that's why I really, you know, like to talk about this stuff, because I feel like a lot of my audience is, you know, similar to me in a lot of ways. And, you know, I think it's important. Anyway, back to spirit guides. There's a guide that you have that's called your gatekeeper, and they're the guide that's been with you since your soul's birth. So basically since your soul was born, which is like a big deal. They've been with you through everything. You come from them, like they're your dad, I guess, or mom, or, you know, but it's not as simple as like parental relationships, because relationships are, you know, infinite, like when it comes to souls. So it's too simple to say just parent relationship, but you get it. So there's also something called soul recycling, that basically, like, when you've lived like millions of lifetimes, your soul has the opportunity to do something called recycling, where basically your memories of your past lives get wiped. They're still there, you just can't remember them, and your higher self can't remember them. That's the you that's lived through all of your lives, your collective consciousness. Those memories are wiped, and you basically start over fresh from square one. And often when you recycle, you get a new guide on your team who helps teach you new stuff, like from a fresh perspective. Really cool stuff. And again, like I said, everything is free will based. If you're here, this is probably something it's definitely something you're doing. You have to be doing it. You can't just incarnate without a guide. That's like, you can't do that. It's impossible. You know, gotta get the paperwork done and everything. It's really cool. So your guides love you a lot, is basically what I'm saying. So whenever you feel alone, it can feel like you're alone, but you're not, you know. It is possible to block out your guides if you don't want to hear their advice, or, you know, if you're in a really deprecating area of your life, it can be hard to hear them. There are like malignant entities that just can like float around and just be like, you suck, you're not worth it, that sort of stuff. Generally those are like kind of like ghosts, I guess, that just like walk around and aren't willing to move on because they have unfinished business or baggage. If they're malignants, then they're just toxic people who don't want to move on, and they'll bother other people to make themselves feel important. So, you know, blocking out the haters is a really important part of practicing this sort of stuff. I'll talk more about how to do that in the future, because I'm already like at least 20 minutes into this video, pre-edits. So gatekeepers also are, if you do end up practicing Universalism, then I would highly recommend doing magic and stuff through your gatekeeper, like letting them know when you're about to do stuff and asking them to watch over it, and asking them if it's a good idea, you know what I mean? Just because we don't want to be putting like energy out into the universe that's necessarily like unguarded and unwatched, because like it can be okay to do, but it's also like, it's just better if you have somebody who knows what they're doing, kind of like keeping an eye on your intentions, so that like your intention doesn't end up manifesting in a way that's actually negative. You know what I mean? Because you can have magic that you mean to be like good intentions, but it ends up being something bad. Like my boyfriend has like an anecdote about how he like did a spell or something to make this girl he didn't like shut up, and she like ended up in like a coma for like a couple months, and then he never did magic again after that because it was terrifying. So you know, stuff like that. That's why we have our guides work with us to make sure we don't accidentally do stuff like that. Because you know, especially if you're inexperienced with magic, you don't want to be doing something that could have negative consequences. You know, it's just energy work. I'm not saying that you're going to put people in comas. I'm just giving a scary example so you won't do it. But it's, you know, that's why I really recommend working with your guides. But that also means if you don't work through guides and you still practice magic, it does make you a bad person. Especially if you know what you're doing, then you're fine. It's just, you know, something that I personally would recommend. I'm not saying this is the right way to do it. I'm just saying that that's something that happened to my boyfriend, and that's why I never do it without working through my guides. That's just my tea. I did talk about malignants a little bit. There are people who aren't willing to pass on because they have unfinished business and they want to feel important and they're toxic. Don't let them bother you. You can, whenever you're trying to like kind of listen in your, you know, mind's eye, in your heart of hearts, like what the truth is. You know, if someone's telling you something kind of nasty or something that seems a little petty or like a little human and not like it's from the bigger picture, it could potentially be malignant. And they can't hurt you. I really want to stress that malignants can't hurt you. All they can do is throw temper tantrums, and it's not a big deal. Like, it's not like The Conjuring or whatever. Like, it's you'll be fine. It's not. Ghosts can't physically hurt you. Malignants can only hurt you if you let them. That's what I'll say. Because, you know, if you let a malignant, like if some people I know who think they're working with their guides, but who are actually working with like malignants, that's a recipe for disaster. And yeah, they can affect your life in that way, so don't let them do that. To ward off malignants, I would recommend, you know, saging is always good, stuff like that. Again, I'll probably make a video on this. Kind of shielding yourself, imagining like a big bubble around you that keeps out any nasty things. Cleansing your chakras, that's something I'll get into later too, because sometimes they can grab onto your chakras, and then even when you shield, they're still there because they're holding on tight because you haven't released them. These are things that we will talk about in the future. I have a lot of ideas for things I want to do. I work with a lot of guides. All of my rings that I wear are all different guides that I work with. I also like the noises they make, so there's that. I actually have 2 for Loki though, because of a whole thing I'll get into. But anyways, so yeah, I'll do another video in the future kind of talking about the different kinds of guides and the different things that they can specialize in and stuff. If you're interested in finding out who your guides are, I do offer readings on my website, phantompromise.com, where I do soul source readings, I do past life readings for you to find out about your past lives, and what the D is on that. I'll probably do a video talking about my past lives and my guides and stuff, so you can get an idea too of like what it is that I, you know, just kind of an example of what I'm talking about. I think that would be good because it's my personal stuff, so it's not like I'm telling anybody else's secrets. You know what I mean? But yeah, I have been working with my guides for like 4 years now. It's been amazing. I can't recommend it enough. And I'm really excited to kind of let everybody know what Universalism is. And I also want to be really clear that I'm really not trying to convert you. Like, whatever works for you, works for you. I don't have a personal stake in whatever you choose, because it's not like I think you're going to hell or whatever if you don't, you know, choose to do my thing. Plus, hell's not bad anyway. I'll get into that another day. So I'll shut up before I end up being here for like an hour. I hope this was relaxing, for you, educational, and fun, just fun. And I hope to do more of these in the future. And I hope this answers some of your questions, because I've been getting a lot of questions about my practice and stuff. So next video I'll probably talk about different types of guides and the guides I work with. I'll go through my rings, let you know which ones are for who and what, and what I, how I work with my guides and ways to communicate with them. There's a lot of fucking stuff to talk about, so we'll get into it later. Thanks for watching, guys, and thank you for dealing with my horrible computer webcam. So love you guys. I'll see you later. Thanks for watching.